Hi there, Chris Chapnick at Motolegends, here today to talk to you about a new suit from the Swedish company Halvarssons. It's an adventure suit, different kind of adventure suit. It's a laminated adventure suit. It's called the Sunne. This is a new suit for 2021 from Halvarssons. It's called the Sunne suit. That's S-U-N-N-E, not S-U-N-N-Y. It is an adventure suit, a laminated adventure suit. Now, we have a view on adventure suits and what makes the perfect or what makes for the perfect adventure suit, and we do not think that an adventure suit should have a membrane at all, let alone a laminated one. But Klim or Climb, whatever you want to call them, they've managed to convince the world that a great form of construction for an off-road suit, for an adventure suit, is to have a laminated membrane. In essence, we just don't agree, because when you're working hard off-road and you're building up a sweat, you need to be able to perspire, to cool down, and you cannot do that when you've got a membrane. Basically, what needs to happen is when we sweat, water comes to the surface of the skin, it turns from a liquid state into a vapor state. That transfer of energy requires heat, draws heat away from the body. That is what cools you down. But if you've got a membrane up against the skin, that vapor cannot escape. It's going to stay as liquid and you will not cool down. The other problem with a membrane is that if you're riding along expecting the cool air, oncoming air to cool you down, that can't happen because a waterproof membrane is a windproof membrane. So in our view, a proper adventure suit will not have a membrane anywhere near it. So really, what is this? And I think the answer is it's an adventure looking suit. It's for someone who's got an adventure bike, who's buying into the adventure riding aesthetic, but it's for someone who's going to spend most of their time on road. So this suit, it stands in good company with lots of similar suits on the market, but in our view, it's not a proper adventure suit. It's an adventure suit for on-road riding. And in that respect, I suppose it's pretty much perfect, because if you're someone who spends most of the time on the road, you've got a GS or some other adventure bike, but you're going to spend most of your time on the road, you do want a laminated suit potentially. So for those kind of people, this is going to work out fine. The suit is similar to the old Luxor suit. Now, that has been discontinued. It finished last year. The spec is pretty much the same. Now, the Luxor and the Lux Pant that went with it, they worked perfectly fine, but we were not big fans, and the reason being, and there was another suit that had this in common with from the Halvarssons range, it had too heavy a DWR applied to the outer surface of the fabric. Now, a DWR is a durable water repellent. It's the first layer of waterproofing that you get on any waterproof jacket. So normally you'll have a membrane, but a drop liner or a laminated membrane, but you will still have a coating on the outside. That means that when water first falls on you, it will kind of pool and run away. So a DWR is important, but Halvarssons have had a propensity to apply that DWR too thickly, and it's made for a very stiff, crunchy, not particularly comfortable jacket. That hasn't happened here. This has got a DWR applied, because I've said almost every waterproof jacket does, but it's done in a much softer, much gentler way. This is a very comfortable jacket. Now, as a jacket, it is a laminated jacket. As I've mentioned, it's a two-layer laminate. There are three-layer laminates and there are two-layer laminates out there. Three-layer is the common form that is espoused most by Gore-Tex. Their Gore-Tex three-layer Pro Shell is kind of the benchmark, but that can be a little bit uncomfortable. The market is moving, the world is moving more towards two-layer laminates. They do kind of the same job, but when you've got two layers as opposed to three layers bonded together, you end up with a slightly more wearable result. So, laminated versus drop liner. I'm going to go over this quickly. I know it upsets some people because I've gone through this spiel 100 times, but laminated. Laminated is technically the superior form of waterproofing. It's not for everybody, but if you do high miles, if you commute every day, then a laminated jacket may be preferable. The reason is very simple. With a normal jacket, what we call a drop liner garment or a trouser, you've got the outer fabric, you've got the membrane. The membrane hangs down. In heavy rain, the water will seep in through the outer fabric. It won't pass through the membrane, so you won't get wet, but it can make the jacket heavy. Water swirls around between the outer layer and the membrane. It can reach a stage that we call wet out. There's water swirling all around it. It can take ages to dry out, and it can make you feel cold, because if all of this is wet and it's a cold day, then that wet medium of the jacket that conducts the heat away from the body far faster than a dry medium. So laminated jackets work better in 3, 4, 5 hours of rain. They're also better for commuters, because if you were to commute into work for say an hour, a normal jacket would get wet. It wouldn't wet out, but it would get wet. You come to put that on in the evening, it can still be damp. Who wants to go home 6 o'clock in the evening on a winter's evening in a wet jacket? So laminate jackets are not necessarily better. They're just different. They're for high mileage riders and they are for commuters. We always used to say that the problem with laminates were that they were horribly uncomfortable and super expensive. That is very much changing, and this is a case in point. This is a very comfortable jacket. You won't be able to tell much between a good drop liner and this, maybe a little bit, but it's a very comfortable jacket, and it's not super expensive in the way that, say, rucker jackets have always been. So a few years ago, you could only get a very expensive laminate jackets, but that's no longer the case. One of the upsides of a laminated jacket, and it's why it works okay for adventure riders or for people with adventure bikes, is if you are doing a little bit of gentle off-roading, you want to get good ventilation. And when you've got a laminated jacket, the vents work better. Very simply again, you've got the membrane bonded up against the outer fabric. When you have a hole in it, a zip, the air passes straight through to the body. If you have a traditional jacket with a drop liner membrane, you've got the outer fabric here, the membrane here. When you open up a hole for a vent, the cool incoming air still has to pass through a waterproof membrane, which is also a windproof membrane, so it doesn't work as effectively. So one of the beauties of having an adventure style suit in a laminated construction is that it is going to vent better. So just looking at this particular jacket, we've got good vents here. Something new for Halvarssons, and I think this works incredibly well. We've now got full length, two-way zips here up the sleeves, so the sleeves are going to work particularly well. You've got the same on the trousers. The trousers, we tend to talk more about the jacket and the trousers. The trousers with this outfit pretty much mirror the jacket in every form of construction. So most of what I'm saying about the jacket applies to trousers, but we'll come on and talk about the trousers because there is an issue with them. But on the trousers, you've got a vent here on the thigh, an incoming, and then you've got an outcoming one at the back as well. So in terms of some of the detail on this, let's just go through it, because having said that this is a jacket, an adventure jacket that I think you can ride happily on the road in, then we need to be sure that it's a sufficiently strong and sufficiently robust for accidents on road. Because actually when you're off-road, you don't tend to slide a lot. When you come off the bike, you roll, you hit things, but you don't tend to slide. So some adventure suits out there are not particularly protective. This one is. So the outer material is a nylon polyamide fabric of some description. It's about a 460 denier. That's not particularly strong, but it doesn't matter. This suit still reaches the AA standard, and that's what one would expect of a suit like this. But Halvarssons is one of those companies, they are pretty obsessed by safety. They're very sensible, they're very Swedish, perhaps a little bit dull. We often liken them to kind of the Volvo of the motorcycle world, and they have that same mentality. Everything's got to work. They're not so bothered about the aesthetics, but everything has to work properly, and it does on a Volvo, and it does tend to on a Halvarssons piece. So in terms of protection, what have we got? We've got this outer fabric. We've then got in all the key vulnerable areas. So in fact, that will be the shoulders and the elbows, the shoulders, the elbows, the knees and the hips. This suit will be lined with a material called hi-vis. Hi-vis is an anti-abrasion lining that's been developed by Halvarssons over a number of years. What it does, it increases the strength of the fabric that it's applied to by a factor of 500%. If it's leather, it's 200%, but if it's a textile, it's 500%. So it increases the strength of the outer fabric by a factor of ×6. So again, that's an additional factor. That's why this suit is a particularly safe one. It's why it's particularly good for riding on road. We will have in the shoulders and the elbows, the hips and knees, we've got level 1 armour. Now, I'm not quite sure why they put level 1 armour in this, because, as we say, I think most people are going to end up spending most of their time on the road, and why wouldn't you want level 2? Halvarssons have launched 2 other new suits for 2021. There's one called the Moira with its matching Malung pant, and there's another one called the Vansbro. They've both got level 2 protectors, so I'm not quite sure why this has got level 1. If you are particularly bothered by that, then you can upgrade to level 2. You could put D30 in here. The perfect armour would in some ways be the new Sastec Phantom armour, super thin but level 2. You'd put that in here, you just wouldn't know you were wearing armour. What you've got in these key areas, again, the shoulders and the elbows, the hips and the knees, in fact, not on the hips, but on the knees. You've got this material here. Now, can't quite work out whether this is just for look. It actually looks very similar to a very strong material that comes out of DuPont called Keprotec, but that's not what it is. That doesn't appear on the spec. So I'm not sure whether these bits here are just for the look or whether they really do add a level of abrasion resistance. They're not going to do any harm, but I'm not sure that they add a great deal. In terms of protection, the other thing you've got is a pocket for a back protector. It doesn't come as standard with this jacket, but that's not uncommon. Halvarssons, being the kind of sensible, methodical people they are, they produced a back protector that resembles more a surfboard than a back protector. It's not very nice. We would almost always, if you came to see us, we would want to put in here a D30 back protector. Now, this jacket can either take a back protector with Velcro or there's a pocket for it. It will take perfectly a D30 Viper size 8. So if you came to see us, that's the armour that we would recommend. It's softer, nicer, more supple, and as it gets warmer, it gets even softer. So that would be the way that we would go in terms of a back protector. So the other element that you would want within a suit like this, a thermal layer. This has a removable thermal. It is a jacket that's infused with a material called Innoborn. Now, Innoborn is a look-alike, a sound-alike for Thinsulate. Thinsulate is a hollow form fibre, so it's an insulating material. That doesn't make this inner jacket particularly high-tech. I think it's going to work particularly well, but if you are going somewhere very cold, you're going to need to supplement this with something. So it does a job. The jacket, by the way, can't be worn as a destination jacket. Our favourite Halvarssons garment, the Wiens jacket, has a jacket that you can wear on its own, so you don't have to clip it into the jacket. You can just put your jacket over it, and when you get to your destination, you take the jacket off. This is a liner that just zips in. In terms of other detail, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the adjusters first. Something new that we're seeing on a number of Halvarssons items this year is a much nicer collar arrangement. And I think that's because there have been criticisms of some of the collar arrangements on the Halvarssons pieces in the past. This is a double-sided adjuster, so you can alter the sizing with the Velcro on this side, but then you can do the same on this side with another strap. So you can adjust it both sides. I think that's going to work particularly well whether you've got a thin neck or a thick neck. What we have here at the front of the collar, and this very much was a problem with last year's jacket that was called the Walkier, and it was a little bit of a problem with the Luxor. They had a very stiff piece of material here. In fact, it was a laminated. It was a piece of cloth laminated to a membrane. It meant that when you sat on the bike, if the jacket pushed up, it pushed up into the neck, and it wasn't particularly comfortable. So it's good to see a much nicer arrangement here. The storm flaps, by the way, Velcro and zip, so that's not a waterproof zip per se, but what you've got here, you've got an arrangement whereby if water gets in here, it runs down this channel, but then you've got a second flap here. What's nice about this, if you can hear this, it all closes with zip, so that's kind of nice and neat. Adjusters at the waist. We think it's really important, especially on a 3/4 length jacket. Now, you want to do this for a couple of reasons. The jacket may just look better when you adjust the straps, or it may be that you need to let them out because you've got a bit of tummy and you need that extra bit of give. What it means technically though is that you can wear this either in hot weather where you've taken the liner out and you want to make it as tight as possible so that it doesn't flap in the wind, or if you are riding in the winter and you've got something like, say, a heated jacket even, or a duvet style duck down jacket, you may want a little bit more room in the jacket. So we've got a new arrangement here. It's Velcro here, but it's attached to some elastic straps at the back, so that gives us a nice level of adjustment there. We've got these adjusters down the sleeves here, popper adjusters. We've seen recently on one of the Halvarssons jacket a wind wire adjuster, which is incredibly trick. We don't have that here, unfortunately, but we can adjust the volume of the sleeves, again for the same reason. Put something underneath, you want to increase the volume of the sleeve, but if you're riding in the summer, you've got nothing underneath, you might want to reduce the volume so that it doesn't flap in the wind. We've got adjusters here at the end of the sleeve. That's important because we want to be able to get the cuff of a waterproof glove underneath here. And for those who don't know, the way to wear a waterproof glove on a suit like this, you want to open it up, get the cuff of the glove underneath there, then you do the zip, then you cinch it tight with the Velcro to make sure that that can't go anywhere. You've also got, lastly, you've got a Velcro adjuster around the hips to tighten the jacket there. In terms of pockets and other bits and bobs, we've got, these look like pockets, they're actually not pockets, they're just flaps that enable you to access the zips. But we've got two flap style pockets here on the front. We've got an extra Napoleon pocket on the inside. Now, these pockets in theory should be waterproof. Personally, if I was looking to really protect something and I wanted to say it's totally waterproof, I would be putting an item in the inner pocket. It's just safer. You've also got, on the back of this jacket, you've got a large cargo pocket, or a map pocket, as I think it's called, and you've got a largish cargo pocket on the trousers. In terms of the trousers, they come with a pair of braces. This jacket will zip into it. Both halves have got a matching 80 centimeter zip. All Halvarssons garments have the same zip, so you can match this jacket to another trouser if you've got a trouser that you really like. You can also use their waist zip arrangement, so you could, if you wanted, attach this jacket to a pair of jeans. You'll have braces as well though, because even though when you're zipped together, the trousers are held up by your shoulders, as it were, if you arrive somewhere, want to unzip, then to stop the trousers falling down as you're walking around the street, then you're going to want the braces as well. So very much belt and braces, this has both. The jacket comes in this colour, which is an off-road colour. It also comes in a black. Graham's going to show you that. I think that's a little bit bright for my taste. It doesn't look like, in my view, very much like an adventure jacket. It's black, but then with bright orange hi-vis. This version, which I have to say we prefer a little bit, is more earthy in its tones. It's a combination of browns and beiges and sands. Works much better as a suit that looks like an off-road suit. One of the elements that stands out a little bit for us, and we're not keen on it massively, and we're not keen on it on the black one either, there's a very high hi-vis component. As you saw in the photograph a minute ago, the black one has very bright orange hi-vis. I'm sure that'll go down well in Holland, but to us it just jars a little bit, as does the yellow on this, because we do not associate hi-vis with off-road riding. Hi-vis is normally an on-road element. We don't see it quite so much on off-road suits. But Halvarssons have explained this to us, and it makes perfect sense. Basically, Halvarssons, being a Swedish company, their major market is Scandinavia. They do most of their business in Scandinavia, and in Scandinavia, they spend 6 months in semi-darkness. I exaggerate a wee bit, but they have a period of the year where it gets dark very early and it's dark in the morning. So if you're riding in Sweden and you've got an adventure bike, you are going to want to wear an adventure suit, but you're going to want as much hi-vis as possible. Anyone over there who doesn't ride with hi-vis is considered to be a little bit irresponsible. So that's why this suit has got so much hi-vis on. It doesn't appeal to us particularly, but we can understand it. And what it does mean is that if you are going to commute in a suit like this, it is perfectly acceptable in terms of that role. The trousers. Now, we have a slight problem with the trousers. As we've said, the trousers are pretty identical to the jacket in that they are made from the same fabric. You've got the same high art lining, you've got the panel on the knee, you've got the level 1 armour, you've got the venting with a vent at the front and the back. It is the same material, it's the same construction. But the problem with the trouser is it only comes in one length. Now, we've already come across this year, 2021, with another pant from Halvarssons. There's another suit out there called the Moira with a Malung pant. That's actually I'd call it a more serious off-road suit in that it's got a removable waterproof. It's a great suit, but its downfall, as is the case here, is that trouser, the Malung trouser, only comes in one leg length. And we just think that's a missed opportunity. What it means is if you are below a certain height, so, and I've got to be careful here because I'm verging on that height, but if you are, say, 5'4" or below that, then the standard trouser may be too long. What will happen is you're walking about on the street, the bottom of the trouser is going to be dragging on the ground, it's going to rip, it's going to tear, it's going to get dirty, it's going to look a little bit unsightly. When you climb on the bike and you lift your leg up, then the trouser will raise. It'll probably work fine on the bike, but it won't work as well off the bike. By contrast, if you are super tall and you are something like 6'2", I think you're going to find that the regular length of trouser is too short. Now, on the road, as you're walking around, it will be fine. But when you get on the bike, especially if you've got a big BMW GS bike or some kind of big adventure bike, there's a high rise there. So as you get on that bike, the trouser's going to look too short. And there is a scenario in which, if you're in rain, the rain's going to hit the ground, it's going to come up under the trouser and over the shaft of the boot. So there is a right length for every trouser, and it is not credible that one trouser length is going to work for all kinds of heights. So we think this is a mistake. And it's a mistake because from our statistics, from our experience, having a single length of trouser counts out about 50% of the market. So we hope this is just a one-year thing and that they will put it right this year, and next year we'll be able to get the Malung pants, not the Malung pants, but the Sunny pants in 3 different leg lengths. But for this year, we are stuck. It's just a 1 leg length. We think that they would be far better. This trouser comes in 2 colorways. Actually here, we're showing the black trouser here against the sandy jacket. In fact, there's a sandy trouser that matches this. They didn't send that to us, so it's a bit of a mismatch here. But there is a black trouser to go with the black jacket and a sandy trouser to go with the sandy jacket. We think they would have been better coming up with a neutral option for the trouser that went with both jackets, and then that would have lessened their investment. They would have then been easily able to produce a minimum 2 trouser lengths and hopefully even 3. But as I say, let's hope we see an improvement in that particular scenario next year. It's a shame that this suit is therefore not going to appeal to some people, but if you are of this medium height, kind of 5'4" up to around 6 foot, then the suit's going to work incredibly well. So let's summarize, what is this? Now, we've touched on this before. It is basically an adventure suit for somebody who rides an adventure bike, but someone who's going to be spending most of their time on the road. It is a supremely comfortable suit. It's going to be a very protective and safe suit. It's going to be very well waterproofed because you've got the laminate membrane. It's got some thermal in, but in cold weather you're going to need to supplement that. And it's got, if you're out in hot weather, if you're touring abroad, then it's got good venting as well. So it is not a serious off-road piece, but it is a perfect combination. It's a perfect suit for people who want to tour or commute on or in an adventure style jacket and pant because they've got an adventure style bike. Price wise, I think it comes in very competitively. The jacket is $470, the trouser is $300. So what's that? $770, under £800. If you throw in a back protector, you're just over £800 for a suit of this quality, a laminated suit with all the bells and whistles that this has got. I think that's a pretty goddamn good price. If you'd like to see more Halvarssons items or more adventure suits or more laminated suits, then visit the website motolegends.com. If you want to learn more about the Sunny in particular, then if you click on one of the links on the screen, sometimes they're up there, sometimes they're down there, that will take you directly to the correct page on the website. There you can check out the spec in a little bit more detail, you can check out availability, and if you want to buy one, obviously you can do that there and then. Now when you buy from us, we try to make the process as simple, straightforward and risk-free as we possibly can. There's no delivery charge on any item of protective wear that you buy from us. Totally free returns, and what's more, we give you a full 12 months in which to decide whether you do want to return something to us. Now we have the best price promise in the business. John Lewis is rightly famed, or rather was rightly famed, for its never knowingly undersold price promise. We go one stage better. If you can find anyone selling anything we sell at a price that is lower than ours, we will beat that competitor's price by a full 10%. Now, if the retailer is in the EU and not in the UK, we will match their landed price. There are a few terms and conditions associated with our price beat, nothing particularly onerous, but if you are going to price beat us, I suggest you visit the website and check out what those terms and conditions are. If in the future you'd like to receive bulletins from us about new releases, then if you go again to the website, top of the page there's a piece of script that says newsletter sign up. Click on there, within seconds you'll be in business. In future you'll receive bulletins from us. If however you wanted to get your information in this form, that's to say videographically, we would be simply delighted if you want to become a subscriber to our YouTube channel, and you can do that by clicking on the button below. Now, last year, 2020, we gave away to a YouTube subscriber a Mutt 125cc machine, a Steve McQueen tribute bike. We gave it away just before Christmas. This year, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're going to be giving away a 250cc Fantic Caballero Scrambler. It's a fabulous bike, but we're going to give it to somebody who follows us on Facebook. So if you'd like to stand a chance of winning that bike at the very end of this year, at the end of 2021, then visit our Facebook page and give us a like. No, give us a follow, whatever it's called. Anyway, I want to finish with a play for our fabulous little shop here at Motolegends. We are based about a mile from the centre of Guildford, a mile from the railway station, and as I say, it's a small shop. It's got a small footprint, but it's attached to our warehouse where we have more than £2 million worth of merchandise arranged over 3 floors. And technically that makes this the second largest motorcycle apparel shop in the country. But we think that we are far more than just the amount of merchandise we have in the building. We're all about service, we're all about personal fitting. If you want to check us out, visit Trustpilot. We have the highest 5-star ranking in the business. When you come and see us, we'll serve you only the finest Italian illy coffee, or we'll serve you proper Yorkshire tea in a proper teapot. And who knows, if you're lucky, you might even get to sample one of Sean's mum's delicious motorcycle-shaped shortbread biscuits. Anyway, this has been Chris. I hope to talk to you again soon.